morning, everybody. Thank you so much for being here. Today, I am pleased to join the City Council as we and a number of our incredible city staff to sign my Ready to Rebuild budget into law. With me today is City Council President Sean Elo Rivera, Council Member and Chair of our Budget Committee, Chris Cate, Council Member Joe LaCava, Council Member Dr. Jennifer Campbell, Council Member Stephen Whitburn, whose district we're in today. I always try to note where we're at.
Thank you.
Council Member Marnie Von Wilpert, and Council Member Raul Campillo. Council President Pro Tem Monica Montgomery Stepp is here with us in spirit. She wanted to be here, but as some of you may know, she recently tested positive for COVID-19, but she is doing well, and we send her our very best. Also joined this morning by our Chief Financial Officer, Matt Vespi, as well as our Director of Finance, Rolando Charval, as well as my Director of Policy, Jessica Lawrence. There's a noticeable absence of our Chief Operating Officer, Jay Goldstone. Jay would like to have been here, but he has not tested positive for COVID, to be clear. He's just doing other things because the city doesn't run itself, and we thank Jay for his leadership. If budgets are a statement of values and priorities, then this Ready to Rebuild budget attests to how much we cherish this great city and the people who call it home. It says that we want to reverse the decades-long trend of neglecting our critical infrastructure and make sure that we are truly building a better future for all of us. This budget is the largest investment in infrastructure in our city's history. I'm going to repeat that because I think it bears repeating for everyone who's upset about potholes. This budget is the largest infrastructure investment in our city's history. We're investing in reliable, sustainable water supplies by funding construction of our Pure Water project, which will provide half of our region's water supply by the end of 2035. We're overhauling our deficient stormwater system so that our neighborhoods are safe from flooding and our beaches and bays are protected from pollution. We're committed to repaving, fixing, and maintaining our streets and addressing the backlog of repairs faster and smarter than ever before. This Ready to Rebuild budget tells San Diegans that we care deeply about your quality of life, and we want you to feel safe and secure in your neighborhood, no matter which neighborhood you live in. We're doing this by fully funding our public safety services, our police officers, our firefighters, and our lifeguards, and we're making sure that they have the equipment they need to do their jobs effectively. We're also taking steps to fill longstanding gaps in coverage in our fire rescue department, finally moving forward on getting the Skyline Hills and Fairmont Avenue fire stations built. With this budget, we are acknowledging clearly and proudly that our city employees are our strength. We are committed to reversing the trend of disinvestment in our workforce and expecting more from our workers while giving them far, far less. We have to be honest about what has gotten us to this point. Today, we have far too few people to perform the work we need to meet San Diegans' expectations for their city, and we are going to reverse this erosion of our quality of life that this reduction has caused. Weed and graffiti abatement, clean public restrooms, functioning streetlights, all of these things can sometimes be referred to as the little things that make up the big picture of how San Diegans feel in their daily lives. Investing in our workforce is how we deliver those services to improve the everyday lives of San Diegans, and this budget makes that investment. I'm extremely proud of this budget, but more than anything, I'm incredibly grateful to my City Council partners for the unanimous adoption of it and for ensuring that this process was well-informed every step of the way with input from the people that we serve. I want to express my appreciation to our City Council President, Sean Elo Rivera, as well as the Budget Chairman, Councilmember Chris Cate, who put forward this process and were able to go through it with a very clear picture of the priorities of the folks they represent and the unique needs of every neighborhood in this city. Finally, last but certainly not least, I want to thank the truly talented and dedicated team who put together all of these inputs. You got to take input from 1.4 million people and synthesize it into an entire city budget. Not easy to do, but we have a team of pros that do that and do that extremely well. I want to thank our Chief Operating Officer, Jay Goldstone, Matt Vespi, our Chief Financial Officer, our Director of Finance, Rolando Charval, and his team, all the folks in the Department of Finance, all the analysts and the people who really have to do the heavy lifting, the advanced math, if you will, to make sure that our revenues match our expenditures, noting this is a balanced budget. And of course, my Director of Policy, Jessica Lawrence, who is absolutely incredible. I want to tell you that they all put in many, many long days to make this happen. Without their work, we could not have achieved this. So thank you to everyone who put this budget together. With that, I'd like to turn this podium over to our City Council President, Sean Elo Rivera, to say a few words. Council President.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Mayor Gloria. Good morning, everyone. Again, I'm Sean Elo Rivera. I represent San Diego City Council District 9, and I'm proud to serve as Council President. We all know that San Diegans deserve and need a budget that addresses their immediate needs. We also know that we have to be thinking about the future. We need to set ourselves up for success in the future. And I am very grateful to the mayor and my council colleagues for striking that balance in this year's budget. This is the end of a long and important process, and I also want to make sure I thank my constituents, all of the constituents throughout the city, and the advocates who reached out to us about their needs in the community and their hopes for the future. Thank you, Councilmember Kate, for your work in guiding the process as chair of the Budget Review Committee. Your many years of experience, no, I'm not calling you old, does really help as we navigate these processes. And thank you to my council colleagues for your input, fighting hard for your constituents, and trying to find that balance that we discussed. We have substantial needs and not enough resources to meet them. But we did our best to make sure that we are meeting those immediate needs and addressing the laying of the groundwork to make sure we get to where we need to go over the long haul. From our investment in homelessness response and prevention, to increased funding for infrastructure, to the investment in our city workers who do the work that we depend on, I'm really proud of the budget that we've unanimously approved. And I cannot wait to see our communities receive the improved services and quality of life that should follow from these investments. With that, I will pass it on to Councilmember Chris Kate.
Thank you, Council President, and thank you, Mayor Gloria, as well, too. This is my final go-around as Budget Committee Chair, and I have to say I'm proud of what we have accomplished during this process. After several months of collaboration with Mayor Gloria, my colleagues on the City Council, the IBA, our independent budget analysts, and the public, the budget for fiscal year 2023 has something for all San Diegans in each neighborhood and council district. When Mayor Gloria first introduced the Ready to Rebuild budget, I was gratified to see a thoughtful and equitable proposal that addresses our city's most urgent issues. This budget allows us to repair our crumbling infrastructure, improve our community parks and libraries, increase our reserves, and ensure our public safety departments have the resources they need to keep our families and streets safe. During the last 3 years, the pandemic has impacted virtually every industry in San Diego. We are now in the time of defining what our future will be and forging a path to get there. While we can't predict the future twists and turns of the economy, we can make moves to protect ourselves should there be rainy days ahead. The fiscal year 23 budget adds to our general reserves, protects the core services San Diegans cannot live without, and puts us in a strong position to manage unanticipated obstacles. Of course, not every ask or project was included. There's always more work to be done. But rest assured, my colleagues and I are committed to building a brighter future in America's finest city. And with today's signing of the fiscal year 23 budget, we are one step closer. Thank you again, and I'd like to reintroduce Mayor Gloria.
Thank you, Councilmember Kate. You can see 8 years of experience right there. We're definitely going to miss Councilmember Kate and his leadership. He has done an exceptional job delivering now his second budget as chair of the Budget Committee. I would note it is on time, it is balanced, and it was passed on a bipartisan unanimous vote. You can't ask much more from a budget chair than that. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, for your leadership. Want to thank, the council members who are present. And I would just conclude, Ready to Rebuild is a purposeful name. We have lived through 2 very difficult years as a city, as a people. And the depths of the pandemic are nothing that this group has forgotten about. There are strategic investments to make sure that as we come out of these last 2 difficult years, that we're prepared to come out better than before. That's the notion behind this. And so whether it's exerting fiscal responsibility, because we recognize that we're still benefiting from the tremendous assistance of the federal government, make no mistake, without President Biden's American Rescue Plan, this would be a very, very different budget conversation. But we're being purposeful and intentional in making sure that we are leading our way out of the pandemic, that we're making smart investments in the priority areas that San Diegans have asked us to focus on. Again, infrastructure repair, more homeless services, outreach, shelter, and permanent supportive housing, along with homelessness prevention that the council president has been a strong leader on. Additional funding for public safety, because we recognize every San Diegan deserves to be safe in their home, at their jobs, and going about their day. And of course, an investment, substantial investment in climate action. We in San Diego are famous for our beautiful environment, our natural resources. They're worthy of protection. They're worth fighting for. This budget fights for them. So I'm very proud of what we're signing today, and I think that's enough talk. I think we should get to signing. So why don't we join me on over here at the table? Everyone get around. All right, let's sign this. There we go. All done, everyone.